the news.
Oh, you're the news? I think you're broadcasting the news. It's all about the
Is that the government shutdown song?
The government shutdown song expected to be #1 on iTunes within a day. And we're talking day 7 of the government shutdown, and the crisis is even on the minds of our 2-year-olds. This is little Everett. His iReporter dad shared his song with us. Dad says he probably heard a lot about the government shutdown on the radio and then parroted the song himself. And coming up back at HLN 5 p.m. for Evening Express, you're going to see Everett and his dad talking about this. But one of the big impacts of the government shutdown on average folks is the closing of all the national parks and monuments. Weddings planned at the Grand Canyon, family trips to Yellowstone, all of those thrown out the window. And BuzzFeed.com went to some of the most popular national monuments, and they got reaction from the people who were turned away by barriers and all those signs that simply say closed. And with me now, BuzzFeed reporter Benny Johnson, because he sort of chronicled this on their website. It's really interesting. You know, what struck me, and I think we have some of them. Benny, thanks for being with us. We have some of the signs that people put up. And you know what struck me is that each one of them had sort of a similar message. It wasn't bashing one party or the other. It was just sort of, Congress, get your act together.
Right. Get your buns in gear, as one veteran told me at the Korean War Memorial. And he also said he wanted to use another word other than buns, but he thought his wife, who was 82 years old, wouldn't like him writing that word. That was what I thought was so interesting about this story. If Washington, D.C., you hear a lot about being nonpartisan, about being bipartisan, and about having things that people want to unite all around. Well, they've given everyone an issue that everyone could unite around, and that's actually restarting up the government. I was really amazed because you could tell that these people come from various different backgrounds, come from all over the country. I talked to people from 14 different states, and they all had a very interesting singularity in their message, which was not blaming one politician or one party, but actually just blaming the entire process.
Yep. And
talking to Congress and saying, we blame all of you guys, the entire government. You guys are all acting like children.
Get your buns together, as you put it. You know, you went out there, you talked to real people, and I think that's how you tell this story, because you see all these politicians get on television and they rattle off their talking points, and it's just noise. When you talk to the real people, you get the real story. So what was the real story that you got on this?
I mean, I think the real story that I got on this is people are viewing this as a very childish practice. They had a kindergarten teacher from Long Island who says, I have kindergartners that are able to share a ball better than Congress is able to share a budget. And I thought also a story that really hasn't been told here is the people and families that have traveled from all around the world. I mean, you're talking about the seat of Western civilization, which is what Washington, D.C. is. I talked to families from Brazil, from Puerto Rico. I talked to families from South America. Well, Brazil is in South America. Australia, 4 Australian families that said, we've been planning this for a year. We've brought our children here, and we can't see any of these national monuments. And really, at Washington, D.C., if you close down all the national monuments and museums, there's not a lot else to see. There's a lot of office buildings with lobbyist firms in them. So it's really ruined a lot of vacations. These people are spending a lot of money to come here and coming from all over the world and seeing firsthand some of the dysfunction of our government.
Let me put you on the spot here. You looked at a lot of different signs. What was the one message that struck you the most?
I can say 2. I liked the, I talked to some monks.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Some monks that were here from Tibet, and they said just simply solve the problem. They did not know about the political process, but they did know that they weren't allowed into these monuments, and I thought that was very powerful. My personal favorite would probably be the people from Australia that said in 1975 our Queen shut down the entire government and fired everyone. For not being able to compromise on a budget. And I thought that was a very interesting tale from some people I talked to down under. I don't know if that's an option here for the Queen to fire Congress.
But there are a lot of people that feel that way. And, you know, Betty, one of them that struck me is one guy held up a sign and said there were 13 cops on feet, a couple on horses, just keeping people away from the monument. It puts into perspective there just how much effort it's taking to keep people away from these monuments and these experiences there in Washington, D.C., and the frustrations that abound. All right, Benny, thanks for being with us. A great piece that you're doing for the real people.